I read a recent statistic that Gen Z is the hardest generation to not only hire, but to keep in a job. And, I kind of feel some type of way about these sorts of stats. It's like, okay, are we the first generation to basically be this soft, this emotionally unstable and unregulated, this mentally ill? No, there's no way we can be the first, right? I mean, you've got the boomers, you've got the millennials. Like, come on, there's no way that Gen Z has a special sort of mental instability. Then I see stuff like this and I'm like, all right, y'all might have a point.
I don't understand what is so hard about correcting other people when they misgender others. Like, it takes you like 2 seconds, but you know what it takes for me to have to constantly do that? A lot of fucking unnecessary emotional labor that I already have to take on a daily basis just to fucking exist and be who I am. But you don't have the energy to speak up and say something on my behalf?
This is the dude who is going to be serving you your coffee this morning. That's him right there. Her. Maybe, I guess that's the whole point of this video, right? Is I don't know what the hell to call you. I'm confused. I'm confused. You're confused. We're all confused. Yeah. These individuals here, they are deeply emotionally unregulated. They are suffering from severe mental illness. And honestly, they need help. They don't need to be affirmed, whatever the hell that means. They don't need for us to pretend and go along with their delusions. They need psychological help. They need therapy. They need somebody to ask them what happened in your life and then to start to work on those things. Because, I've done extensive research when it comes to this subject specifically, as far as people's stories, anecdotes, as well as the science behind it. And many of the doctors who are now in this affirming or gender affirming business, because of how profitable it is, and also how it works as a liberal virtue signal, many of them will never actually ask past the point of, what do you want to do, basically? So a 13-year-old goes in and says, I feel like I'm not supposed to be in this body. I said they've watched like 3,000 TikToks about this. They have now made a decision that, oh, I'm not a girl, I'm actually a boy. They go to doctor. Doctor says, well, yeah, I mean, if that's how you feel, then that must be reality. Instead of saying, is it maybe possible that that's not actually the case? And maybe, something else we can dig into more extensively. Again, this isn't me making up. These are the little stories that are going on behind closed doors. That's why we have this spike all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, there's an entire ecosystem, an entire industry that has been birthed overnight in the gender affirming space. It's an evil, dark, and twisted fantasy. No Kanye. It is. It's evil because it basically it uses the vulnerability of children and parents in relationship to their children in order to profit. That's a sick business. You understand me? So the children are feeling as if they are, they're outside of themselves. Like most of us as kids, we felt uncomfortable in our bodies. Hell, many adults feel uncomfortable in their own body, in their own skin. Just imagine a child, prepubescent, puberty-stricken kid who is feeling extremely self-conscious about themselves. And it's ironic because it's mostly, when you see it, it is mostly young girls who want to become boys in a younger age. And then older age, it is mostly men who want to become women. I've peeped this. And again, somebody can probably bring up the stats in real time, but I've peeped this just from personal observation. And it makes sense to me because biologically speaking, girls are more neurotic. Girls have more mental activity as well as the emotional capacity, right? Due to estrogen and different hormones. So for women, you have a deeper discomfort with yourself at those earliest stages of life. Then later in life as a man, especially in Western culture, A man who is not feeling valued, valuable, a man who's not feeling seen, etc., will find it that maybe if I become a woman, then I'll get all of these things that the culture or the society is now affording, right? Whether that's reality or not is not the point. The point is they see that as the way out. And so then you have people like this.
I don't understand what is so hard about correcting other people when they misgender others. Like,
So it's not even just about you like getting the gender right. It's about you're supposed to now correct grandma. So grandma's like, hello, young man, or hello, young lady, because she sees what this person actually is. And then I'm supposed to step up to grandma and say, hey, yo, fart, you're going to respect my they, them now. You're going to respect them. And they're like, I'm actually not a they, them. I'm actually a two-spirit, but thank you, but not really, because you still misgender. Like, you can't win. You cannot win with these individuals. And again, it's because it's much deeper. Look at this. This chick is having a full mental and emotional breakdown because somebody won't use a certain. Look, I've been called by the wrong name my entire life. My entire life, my government name has been mispronounced. What's his government name? Wouldn't you like to know? To those who've been watching me for a while, I'm sure you're curious. What is his government? Is Aquarius his birth name? No, it's the name that chose me. Y'all will see on the Wikipedia page one day. I'll just put it that way. But these are individuals who, because there is a non-acknowledgement of something that doesn't exist, they have this sort of visceral response. And there's a doctor, he is like one of the foremost psychologists within the space. And he speaks of how many of the people who are, I guess, are the most subject to this type of mentality are on the autism spectrum, right? So there's this obsessive, kind of dogged persistence when an idea like this hits. And that right there is even more heartbreaking because the adults are not stepping in to do what they're supposed to do, which is protect the children. But instead, you now have teenagers or young adults or whatever who are whatever the hell this is.
It takes you like 2 seconds, but you know what it takes for me to have to constantly do that? A lot of fucking unnecessary emotional labor that I already have to take on a daily basis just to fucking exist and be who I am. But you don't have the energy to speak up and say something on my behalf?
Yeah, we need to invest more into these psychiatric wards. No, we don't have to put folks in straitjackets. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? Not the old school way. I'm talking about, psychological help at the very least. So let's get into the comments, see what's going on. World's tiniest violin. Yeah. When I'm a man, I want to be a Democrat. Well, you'll have to decide, honey. You can't be both. I agree with that. I agree. In this day and age, if you are a man, a male, for the ladies, I give more leeway, I'll be honest. But for a dude to be a quote unquote liberal, either you're in it for the cookie, you know what I mean? You're in it for the coot nanny, or you are this far gone. What else we got here? If you're any good at being a trans person, wouldn't misgender you. A good kick in solve your gender confusion. A good kick in the gonads. Mental illness ID bracelet. Oh yeah, I missed the bullhorn or the bull piercing. The bullhorn. Dear trans community, don't tell me I have to accept you for who you are when you couldn't accept yourself for who you. Show your enemy no mercy. Misgender them at every opportunity. This is too creative. Okay, this is probably so far that's my one of the day. Yeah, Sun Tzu definitely. He had to give some wisdom as far as this entire identity nonsense goes. Transphobic, no. If you're any good at being trans, people wouldn't misgender you. It's the second person who said that. I guess that's like a trending thing. Girl, you need to put your big big girl pants on and learn to cope. You can't control other people's behavior on your own. That's some good advice. That's true. It's true. The rest of us that's good. I'm gonna save that. Yeah, the rest of us shouldn't have to bend the knee per se to whatever it is that you create as a fantasy for yourself. Like, I have fantasies, delusions of grandeur every single day. Doesn't mean that you're supposed to submit to those, right? If I want to create a new reality for myself, then I do the work necessary. Like, my delusions is like, I don't know, that I'm going to turn this into a media empire and, be able to distribute film, television, etc., with wholesome messaging and these same sort of values and virtues and things of that nature. Like, I have that sort of delusion, but I'm not going to be like, hey, because I believe this, build me a studio, do this, do that. No, I know I have to build it. I have to work towards it. I have to, continue to work on my belief system to get me to that place. So yeah, if your delusion is not what is mainstream or what is real, in this case, it's not what is actually real. It's not natural. It's not based in reality. Then, well, you're the only one who basically lives in that, and others who are in that delusion. But it's not the job of the rest of civilization, the rest of society, the rest of humanity to then fall under a non-truth or a mistruth. I think it's a bald-faced lie at this point, because the ones who are profiting know exactly what this is. They used to deem it a mental illness, but it became more profitable to just affirm it. Simple. You guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3-6-5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.